Amy, and today we're going to be talking about dumb witches and why there's so many great witches who turn bad and go to the dark side. And to be honest with you, it's no wonder why a lot of witches get a bad name or a lot of witches gain this terrible reputation. The indoctrination starts in early childhood. We can just watch television and we can see that virtually every villain or villainess is vain and mean and a washed up witch. There is the wicked stepmother from Cinderella, the highly conceited evil queen from Snow White, the wicked witch Eveline from The Wiz, and we cannot forget Ursula from The Little Mermaid. Not to mention the fact that we've all run into these real life villains, these witches who are just ugly and demonic and mean and evil. And we all know that many of them have started off as being nice people. They vowed that they would never curse or hex or bring harm to anybody else or any other individuals. But once they get that taste of power, they just get turned out. And then they become someone who you don't even recognize. And they're even unrecognizable even to themselves. They're falling off their path and they can't seem to understand why they have lost everything. They've lost their families, their friends, their money, even their beauty. Truth be told, that magic, when applied and when done ineffectively, can drive a good woman mad. And movies like The Little Mermaid with the sea witch Ursula paints the cautionary tale of how magic can destroy even the holiest and the most well-intentioned souls. We're going to talk about all this and more in this video, so please stay tuned. Ursula by far is my favorite villainess, second only to Eveline from The Wiz. Now, I like Ursula because she's not conventionally pretty. And I learned later that she kind of has like this drag queen look. I think it was a young man who used to do drag who conjured up this amazing character for The Little Mermaid. But anyway, I digress. But I love her because she is big and beautiful and gorgeous, and she seems to be proud of it. Also, I like Ursula because she seems to represent all the women out there who don't have pretty privilege. She represents all the women who have to use other things to kind of gain power, in some cases gain success and fame. But when you don't have pretty privilege and you can't use your beauty to attain power, you have to use something else. And then you have to be sure that you're not stepping on the toes of men while doing that. And so this was Ursula's problem. She was born bright, bubbly, smart, and witty. Yet she was plain, and she knew that she wasn't going to get anywhere with the way that she looked. She wasn't going to be able to find a good mate. She wasn't going to be able to find riches through marriage. So the only thing that she had was her magic and her charms. And she used those charms when she was younger. She was able to win over her ancestor Poseidon. And Poseidon was going to let Ursula rule over the entire kingdom of Atlantica. But he had made a promise to the young male heir, and his name was King Trident. And so Poseidon, in the movies, of course, he was someone who always kept his honor. So they decided to make a truce. King Trident and the sea witch Ursula will have equal parts of the sea. And both King Trident and the sea witch Ursula would be able to perform magic. King Trident would, of course, have his magical trident, and Ursula would have her magic seashell. Now, Ursula was not happy with this arrangement. She made it very clear that she wanted to rule all of Atlantica. So she then devises this pretty amazing plan to replicate Trident's magical trident. And she does this with the intentions of robbing him of all of his power. Now, let's keep in mind, guys, she was somewhat successful until she was caught and banished to the underbelly of the sea world. Alone and isolated and almost going mad, Ursula befriends her two favorite eels. And these eels later become her beloved pets and trusted companions. Over time, the eels become her eyes and ears, and they start to do her beckoning. Now, Ursula, being Ursula, hungry for power, she starts to lure mermaids and mermen into her plan to overtake Atlantica. And so she has this amazing underground pit. And it's here where she performs her magic and she concocts her potions and she starts to cast spells. And what she does is she makes these unfavorable deals with mermen and mermaids. She enslaves their souls and entraps them in this horrific garden that she has in her backyard, for lack of better words. And so in Ursula's madness, she plans to create this huge army of sea urchins, which consists of trapped souls. And she intends on using this army to overtake the Atlantica Palace. Remember, her goal was always to take down King Trident. However, she comes across an amazing opportunity when she learns that Ariel, King Trident's favorite and youngest daughter, has fallen in love with a human prince. She then devises another self-serving plan where Ariel would be allowed to be human for exactly 3 days. While she is human, she must convince the prince to kiss her. However, guys, it can't just be any kiss. It has to be the true kiss of love. And no, Ariel can't use her beautiful voice to win over the prince. Instead, she will only be able to use her beauty and her looks. And if Ariel fails at getting the prince to fall in love with her, her soul would belong to Ursula forever. Now, Ariel, being starstruck and love-struck, she signs the deal, and her voice is then captured by Ursula's magical shell. And so she gets her sea legs, and she is found by the prince, and then the courting starts. It's romantic and it's loving, and there's even a scene where Sebastian and the gang are able to get the prince and Ariel to almost kiss. Only Ursula's ills are always watching, and they ruin the entire scene, and they ruin the mood, to be honest with you. Now, later, Ursula understands that Ariel is very beautiful, and she doesn't really need much to be able to make a man fall in love with her. So then she needs to step it up a bit, and thus decides to enchant the prince with Ariel's beautiful voice. Ursula then has the prince under her spell, and with him under her spell, she convinces him to marry her, thus causing Ariel to run out of time. She is dragged back to the sea to be Ursula's slave, but is intercepted by King Trident. King Trident vows to take Ariel's place, thus allowing Ursula to gain hold of the trident. Now this is when Ursula finally becomes the queen of the sea. Ursula swings that trident to destroy Ariel's friends and misfires, attacking and killing her favorite 2 eels. She's so angered and so enraged that she stirs up this massive wicked storm, only to have the prince stir a sunken ship into her belly. She electrocutes herself and dies, and the contract that she has with her Garden of Trapped Souls is released, and they become mermaids again. King Trident gets his power and trident back, and Ariel gets her legs, her man, and a happy ending. Now, the craziest thing about this story is that Ariel and Ursula are alike in many ways. They're both rebels. They both wanted to challenge the status quo. Ariel broke the rules by making contact with a human, and Ursula broke the rules by stealing King Trident's magical trident. But sadly, Ursula is the only one who was banished. She was the only one who went mad. She was the only one who died. Did all these things happen to Ursula because she was ugly? No, all these things happened to Ursula because she snapped. Ariel had the love of friends and family to support her the entire way, but Ursula, she had no one. Even her 2 eels died in the end. She was a plain woman who sought power and was punished because of it. Then, by society banishing Ursula and denying her love, she slowly began to implode, and they slowly began to destroy her. Now, all this sounds familiar because we've heard this story before. It was used to tell the ending of Daenerys Targaryen's character arc, where she devolved into the Mad Queen. Now, it was at this point where Jon Snow left her, her best friend was murdered, and this left Dany very bereaved and alone. Yet she was the most powerful woman or person in the world of Westeros, just like Ursula was the most powerful witch in the Atlantica Sea. Now, what is the moral of this story, guys? Society is always going to try and tame a powerful woman. They're going to isolate her. They're going to name her a witch. They're going to call her wicked. They're going to tell people that she's evil. They're going to try and get her friends and family to turn against her. And in her loneliness, she will eventually break. And so what happens over time is that she begins to manifest and becomes the monster that society had imagined. This is the fate of so many witches who had power in the yesteryears, and so many witches who challenged the status quo. They didn't need to do much, just ostracize them, and over time, they broke. They were broken. Now, this doesn't have to happen nowadays because people have a better understanding, or I hope people are a bit more empathetic when it comes to witches and witchcraft and mysticism. But there's still a lot of people who are in the practice who feel very lonely. You really have to work on making sure that power inside of you doesn't cause you to self-implode. And how you do that is that you have to be on that vibration of love all the time. You have to constantly work with the higher vibration of love, and that will stop the deterioration, and it will also stop any kind of witchcraft or curse or spell that has worked against you from working. So anyway, guys, that's the video. Please sound off in the comments below. Please tell me who you think the worst villain is in all of Disney movies. Tell me if you liked Ursula, you don't like Ursula. I would love to hear your comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And to get one of my free audiobooks, just click on the link below. Until next time, peace out.